to start on time.
I'm shocked.
I'm shocked.
Hey, Mike.
Hey,
Hi, Mike.
hey,
We'll just move right on down to number 3, awards and presentations and appointments, proclamation for National Peace Officer Memorial Day. We're a little bit late, but we're gonna do that, Tuesday night.
Okay.
And, then we're gonna add another one to it that they came up with, and, is it next week? It's Public Works.
That's right. Glad you read me right. So, but yeah, Public Works, week 2, so it'll be another proclamation on the agenda.
Any questions? Completion and review of unfinished business, ordinance 2025-1132. Be the public hearing and the final reading on ordinance of the Mount Pleasant, Tennessee, amending Title 8 of the Mount Pleasant Municipal Code by increasing the number of beer licenses. Michael, you want to speak to that right quick? I know we talked about it last month, pretty much at length, but you might just cover the number that we're increasing it by.
Let me find it.
Hey, you want this one?
So. I'll probably do a good job of this in me.
You want my PowerPoint?
No, I'm good, thank you.
Let the minutes reflect, nobody wants the PowerPoint.
So we're increasing on premises from 10 to 15, off premises from 15 to 25, and on off premises from 3 to 6.
Mm-hmm. Sounds good.
And then we're establishing a downtown area as well.
Perfect.
Okay.
We get through downtown, who knows what'll be in here.
Yeah.
That'd be great.
Have we
Got to
had any,
prepare for the future.
have we had anybody dispute it or?
I hadn't heard a word.
Do we have anybody apply?
Business downtown? I think there's a, sporting goods store.
Sporting goods store.
There was one more, but, NCI didn't tell me what it was, that you wanted to know, someone's interested, and they want to know when, open up, so.
I think she signed her lease. I think was it like an antique? I think she signed the lease with Trina, but don't hold me to that.
So we'll get through that one again, and I've heard not a word about it.
Good.
Monthly financial budget report, Schiffer, we've talked about this, and, we're gonna get down into this to ordinance A and B again in a minute, but, yes, and Schiffer sent it out yesterday or today, the bullet point that we discussed, just trying to touch on each bit of it. Schiffer, anything you want to add to that?
Not to the financials, this, we'll talk more on Tuesday on the financials, just when I present the budget amendment, we're pretty much going over the financials all over again, so
Okay.
most of the in-depth will be on that.
All right. Philip, anything, city manager?
I'll have a full report on, Tuesday, unless anything y'all want to know now, I may know off the top of my head, but it'll be a full report Tuesday.
They're making some real progress downtown, guys.
yes, they
Mhm.
are.
You heard any more update on the bridge?
I'm waiting, and, Mr. Lee Rogers is very quick, I'm waiting until like Monday or Tuesday to get that up-to-minute report, so he's very responsive and asking me all the time, so, I know it's in the concrete's in the cure phase right now.
Mhm.
Well, it may be out of 2 weeks from the 28th, so it's probably out of the cure phase, so. No more when I want that up-to-date information. So,
Okay.
hopefully, like you said, this month.
I hope so, too.
Hopefully.
That's gonna be great.
Mhm.
Man, if it all came together at once.
Be one.
Wow. Special reports, from other departments, wastewater and gas.
So I have a full report on Tuesday, I think 30 to 60 days out from total completion on wastewater. And then gas, we'll have, more discussion. There's actually a resolution on there.
Yeah. Yeah, talking about that later, yeah. All right, new business ordinance 2025-1133. Again, this will fall into Schiffer Court, and it's just doing the last budget amendment for this fiscal year.
That's correct, and it's gonna be really short. We did a big one in January, and most department heads have kept their budgets, within their line items. Most of the stuff that I'm amending is overages within their budgets, but it's not overages that their budget could not absorb. I just like to offset it against revenue. That way we have some wiggle room, because there is a payroll that'll run in July that a portion of it with benefits and everything has to be put back into June. So I like to leave our budgets to have some money left in it, because at the end of the day, if we bypass what we have in the budget, that's what gets us an audit finding. So
Yep.
it's not, the amendments really giving them more revenue in their line items for certain things that were over, but doesn't mean that they didn't have money in other line items that wasn't spent. I just like to leave that wiggle room there for year-end expenses and stuff that may come up. Oh, and yes, we received the TIF
Just a
money.
minute ago.
I know, just a minute ago. The TIF that we did this year, we wrote IDB about $503,000 or $504,000, and then a portion of it goes to Murray County Schools, which would stay with Murray County Schools. But the TIF, they ended up having their payment. I think the mayor and Corey could probably talk about it more, but we received $313,000 back off of it. So they. So it's good. So we get to put it back into the books for this year, and of course we've already appropriated funds for streets. So technically, in a way, this money's going to turn around next year and go back to the streets.
Well, and here's the nice thing too, next year when that tax check comes in, it's 500 and,
It's about 500. The first year I was here, it was close to 3 something. Last year was 400 something. This year was 500 something. So we're glad it's over, because as our property values go up, the TIF has gone up as well. But it also, on the other end, helped pay off the debt that IDB had quicker as well, just because the value is going up between county and city. County received more money as well, so they paid their portion, we paid our portion, so they were able to pay all of that off in March, and this is our money back. So again, this will be going in the bank first thing in the morning, save tonight.
Long time coming.
long time coming.
But it was
And
worth-
Corey, I did
it was
not
worth
sign that check this morning. Steve was going, here, sign these checks in the city of Mount Pleasant. I said, I'm not signing that.
You want to make sure that money gets no questions asked.
That's exactly right. That's why I said, I'm not signing that one.
So I'm excited to put that one back in the budget. So that will, like I said, we already appropriated the future funds into the streets, and we were dipping a little bit into our fund balance. This just makes our fund balance look better.
Yes, yes.
It's awesome. All right, ordinance 2025-1134, and it'll be our first reading on our fiscal year budget.
Sent detailed notes on that one to you
Thank
all.
you. This is great.
Yeah.
It's the penny rate. My first year here was about 16 some thousand. Last year was 17 some thousand. This year penny rate is 18,933. So we're steadily moving up. This is calculated based on how much money the taxes bring in per every penny. So our tax rate is $1.69. So you could see, like, per penny we're bringing in about 18,933. It's based on the assessed values. The more properties we get in town, the more houses that are built, the more industry we get, that helps raise this penny rate up, which means for the same tax rate, we get more money. So the first year I was here, we were getting 16,000 per penny. Now we're getting 18,000, almost 19 now. So we're steadily growing. And as more growth comes in, you'll see this money go up. State shared revenues this year is 179. I think last year was 175, I believe, or 176. So it's gone up a little bit. And then of course the tax rate remains the same, 1.69. So the whole budget is still around 1.69, is what we budgeted off of the revenues. And then I've put all the other details by general fund, every fund.
Yeah.
We'll go more in detail on Tuesday, but of course, if you all have any questions.
I do want to bring something up, Mike, to your point on Main Street. Smelter called me last week before, and they did pay their full amount this year. Next year, they're cutting it to $10,000. So, to your point, we really need to look at this closely next year. I'm making everything disclosed, everything right out front,
Okay,
just so you know.
appreciate it.
But he did verify that they did pay their 35,000 this year.
Okay.
So there's some things going on with that. Willie, anything you'd like to say? You're our representative on that group. Is that pretty much what it is? So I'm just want to make that perfectly clear.
Mayor, this here's on, appreciate what, you was talking to him about that, but this here's on something else. And I guess Commissioner Pam brought it up, on the animal shelter, in which we, and if she still wants that, I wouldn't mind, give them another 1,000. I guess just because of what they're going through right now, I guess. But that, I mean, 1,000 won't break us, but I just thought I'd throw that out there.
Man, that's a sore subject.
It is.
And I'll tell you, Sheila Butt told us she did not expect any more to come out of the city of Mount Pleasant. She sat down, I think Philip was there when she said that.
But that's just me. I don't.
They're going through a tough time, but
I don't know.
it's,
What was their request
See,
on
oh, I
17?
know that's-
Their original request was 17, and we've given them 13 this fiscal year, and we've budgeted, right now the budget is 13 again. So we did give them 3,000 more in the spring
Right.
this year,
We
so
already gave them.
we went from 10 to
But I just-
13
I
this
just
year, and
thought-
then
Yeah,
still
I
13
get
right now. Request was for 17.
Mike, I guess what I didn't know is that they had the recommendations of not giving them any more money this year.
Right.
And then if they're trying to get Columbia to stop, then maybe we give them more next year to help them make it through.
Yep.
But if Columbia's just gonna be using up the money we're giving them
Yeah,
for their exit, for their lack of care,
right.
then that's why I kind of, I believe we should give them more, but maybe we wait till next year and when they've made a decision.
Columbia, from what I understood, Columbia had even talked about looking at having their own, but I don't never see that happen. See it happening.
they got rid of their own, what? Been in the last 10 years. I would-
Yeah,
that-
I think Columbia took action on this item this past week. I think there's a lot of controversy. There's a lot of
Yeah,
misinformation around what they did or didn't do. So I think we just decide what's best for this city and let those chips fall where they.
where they fall. Okay, but I just thought,
No, I appreciate it.
Yeah.
I would like to see us do more, but I think there seems to be a lot of shady, weirdy
Yeah.
stuff going
Yeah,
on.
yeah.
And I think we have done our part as Mount Pleasant,
Yeah.
so.
And the,
there's no doubt about
and
that.
the director from the animal shelter, she did email last week when she sent the report and said she was willing to come speak to y'all whenever you want her to. So just wanted y'all to know that.
All right. State Street aid?
Mostly grant funds and trying to finish downtown.
Good.
Since the project is so close to June 30th, that it's gonna be really, really close. I'm trying to just have some budgeted funds on the other side, just in case we, end up on that side of the fence, I think right now, completion date is end of June, so.
Good.
Nothing like having multiple projects close on June 30th.
Yeah.
Just to add to that, we may, because I heard it in the last meeting, but today they talked as well. The landscape, DDOT doesn't want it put into fall planting
October.
season.
That's right.
So we made a decision on that, so it may carry over, so we may have it complete, but waiting on fall. But
To
DDOT
plant.
recommendation.
For them to come back
So-
and plan if you,
So, yeah, completion could be a little bit longer, but it's done, everything's open, just the pretty parts are
Yeah.
gonna take a little while.
Yeah.
It's open.
sanitation,
Sanitation, we are working on improving some of the operational stuff in-house, and we discussed that in the individual meetings we had.
Good.
Just so we can see if we're missing any revenue in certain places. We're also looking at better ways to tag the small cans we have, the blue cans, just because we have barcodes and I think we have numbers on them. We don't have barcodes or anything to scan them. We're
Yeah.
trying to figure out if there's a way we can scan those, kind of like what we're doing with our meters now. So if we can get that solution in the next few months, then we may look at the rates and stuff at that point. But right now, we're just trying to improve our operation so we can pretty much see we're bringing in every revenue that we can, based on the small blue cans. I think they tend to get all over the place sometimes.
yeah.
And then of course there's a little bit of a debt service in there from the truck that we bought, so that payments. So if you see every fund's notes tell you how much debt is in each fund, that's actually a requirement by the comptroller's office.
Good,
So in my budget packet, every fund, what its obligations are for debt is listed in there. So that kind of gives you an idea of how much debt we have versus how much revenue and expenditures we have. So it gives you an idea of where we stand. Like on the general fund, our budget is almost $6 million. So, our debt is about 500-ish. So it just brings us an idea of where we are, how much of our budget is going towards debt payments in each fund. Sanitation, again, there's that. Depreciation. Capital projects is, again, trying to just have a little bit of funding for downtown. Debt service fund right there, that is, again, general fund debt. So the payments that are up top, there's certain general obligation debt that has to be paid out of a separate fund. So really, I just transfer money from the general fund to pay that. So it's not additional debt, it's repetitive from the general fund down to the 210 fund. And then we have water and sewer, lots of grants, lots of
moving pieces.
lots of moving pieces there, especially right now with the amount of reimbursements we have coming from the state, and some of it, the federal government's involved in it. So things have been a little bit slower. So we're hoping that stuff speeds up for us. And then again, with the sewer plant coming online, depreciation amount is pretty high on that budget, and that kind of hits us big time. Gas fund, we are recommending, eventually looking at the rates. The rate, I think the guy who's doing the rate study for us, he's on the company that's doing the rate study for us is on the agenda. So we are trying to get a third party. We've done a lot of studying internally and we have some numbers, but we want a third party to come in and do it for us as well so we can be fair. But that fund has been running in a deficit since 2023, and we officially received a letter from the comptroller's office last week, and I think we have to look at it, and I know we've discussed this for a couple of years now, that we've been trying to figure out if we don't have a really, really bad winter, there's no way that fund has been able to support itself. So that's something we can go more in detail on Tuesday, but we are going to have the rate study on the agenda.
Good.
How long has it been since we had a rate increase?
2018, it was the $5 maintenance.
And that was only on residential accounts, in the summer months, it was a $5 fee. And then parks, again, major grant funding. So that fund is bumped up huge this year. So we have the $2 million grant in it to do the
Right.
stuff. So if you look at the whole budget, and I may update my notes just talking right now, I think maybe I need to put a little note on how much funding we have in our budget. That's just grant funding. Just looking at some of these, it's easily more than 10 to $10 million. Probably is just grant funds in this budget.
Hmm.
One of the things I asked Shipper to do Tuesday night, because it'll be recorded, is we're gonna have a rate increase on gas, and I asked her to just kind of explain that.
I'll go more in detail step by step on Tuesday, because that's the live meeting. This meeting is recorded and we have minutes and everything. It's just because it's not live on Facebook. The mayor was like, go more in detail on Tuesday because that's the actual voting meeting. So
I feel like our constituents need to have the facts. Any other questions? And I want to thank all of y'all for taking the time to come spend with Shipper and Philip. It's,
Thank them.
yeah, I'm telling you, there's been a lot of work going into this.
And if you all come up with any questions, over the weekend, just email. That way I can have answers for y'all on Wednesday or even Monday, either way.
But y'all make it so simple.
Sure
They do.
do.
For me.
Break it down.
Yeah.
Thank you.
So much
Absolutely.
better to understand.
All right, ordinance 2025-1135. Corey, I understand that you had something we needed to get cleaned up or something.
I don't know much about this this ordinance. I know that this was requested a few months ago to increase commissioner pay. This would not go into effect for any of you right now. It would basically be, you would be increasing the fee for the next elected body.
Next group.
Can I answer that, Corey? So when I first took over, you guys know me, I try to look at everything from angles. When I was looking at Title I, Chapter 1, it showed what it would pay. And then, of course, all the pay is more than that. So through research, the gas was combined with this. So I don't know if that needs, even if you don't want to raise pay, does that need to be combined in Chapter 1, Title I, Chapter 1? Or just pull it and we're fine?
I'll try to answer that question before tomorrow, before the packet goes out.
Good.
Um,
And with the fact that this would not affect this group, we could put this off.
When we had originally talked about it a couple months ago, we talked about doing it in line with the budget,
Right.
Yes.
if it was going to affect this group, but I don't think it will affect this group. If that changes, I'll rush it through.
And I
make sure.
apologize, I just remember that in line with the budget, that's why I added it.
Yeah.
If we need to pull it, we can pull it, but I just wanted to make sure that someone reads our charter and that's what it shows, but we're paying something else, but it's because of gas.
There was an ordinance passed that gave them an increase just from the gas board, which you are the gas board as well.
Right.
So I understand. I will.
I may have created confusion.
I will try to.
So this may
Answer
not be on
Correct. It might not be on.
the, okay.
All right. Resolution 2025-19, a resolution by the city to approve the issuance of tax exempt revenue bonds and tax exempt debt by the health and education facilities of the Metropolitan Government of Nashville and Davidson County for the benefit of Vanderbilt University. We have someone here to speak on it, and it is to purchase a new helicopter. And we are awfully fortunate to have that right here in Mount Pleasant, Tennessee.
Yeah, thank you for allowing us to come and present this and for the possibility of approval. And really what we're doing is we're replacing a helicopter that we already have that's in service. So this will just be a newer helicopter that will continue to provide, service to pick up injured people that need immediate care and get them to where they need to be. So approval of this allows us to tax exempt finance it, gives us a great rate. We need to deliver. Should provide
Do you have
care.
any idea how many trips we do a year?
I don't know the numbers of
I'm just curious.
the trip.
Yeah.
I certainly could find out, but I'm not sure.
A bunch, a bunch.
Yeah, one other day.
But thank you, really, thank y'all for
No,
what
no,
you do.
appreciate y'all.
Thanks.
It's approved, so.
All right, resolution 2025-20, a resolution to approve the professional proposal with TriStar Energy for a rate study and valuation of the natural gas utility. Again, this goes back to the increase that we'll be proposing and then the overall evaluation of this operation.
So the purpose of this resolution is to engage TriStar Energy Solutions to perform the gas rate study that he's talking about and also evaluation of the gas system. The cost of the rate study is $15,000 and the cost of the valuation is $3,750. It should take about 3 months to complete. So this is just a proposal that they submitted and we would be approving it.
May I add to this?
No, I'm sorry.
So the reason we're doing this is a third party that is not currently have anything to do with us. I think we've put everything together from a standpoint, what are our capital projects? We know those through engineering. We also got an email that East Tennessee Pipeline may go up 125% on delivery. So that'll be incorporated. And then also, what does the rate look like if we have to do or need to do all these capital projects? So I think it's a good thing to do. And then at the end part is evaluation. What does this system work? And we can go down that road eventually if everybody wants to, but I think it's putting everything that we need, or you guys need to make an informed decision on our gas system.
Mike, you got a question?
Well, I guess I'm sort of lost a little bit. I know we're doing the study and all that, but is there still gonna be a vote on a rate increase?
There will be.
Okay.
Yeah, but it will be part of the budget piece.
Oh, okay.
No,
Okay.
I don't, no.
No.
So, you just explain it, kind of.
No, go ahead.
So she contacted the comptroller's office. She's going to forecast revenues to get us above water. We know, that's why we're bringing it to you now. It'll take 3 months and then we will bring an ordinance in front of you. And that it'll be enough to get us above water. But I don't think we should do it now and then turn around and do it again. So we're gonna satisfy the comptroller's requirements, but know that a rate study is coming and a rate increase is coming to get us above water in the next fiscal year.
But we will vote on that come next Tuesday.
You'll
To-
vote on
to-
rate study.
Right, so.
Oh, okay, but no,
Now, the budget's gonna forecast revenues because we're anticipated that we're going to have to do the rate increase.
The rate increase won't actually happen on Tuesday.
Yes.
okay, that's
Yeah.
what,
That's a separate ordinance that has to be voted twice on and
Yes,
everything.
because that's part of the
Because the
budget.
comp controller sent us a letter. You
Yeah.
gotta do something.
So like, in,
so then it'll happen in June then.
so like,
No.
when
The rate increase will be approved in June because of the budget.
we won't approve the rate increase,
So
Well, then we're gonna be underwater and we're gonna get another letter.
she's gonna forecast.
Okay, all right, that's good enough. I think
I
that,
mean, we just can't vote on putting,
okay, so there's two things happening. The budget itself, we closed the books for my first budget year here was 23-24. 2024 closed with a very small deficit. It was still a deficit, but a very small. We as a utility are allowed to have 1 year of a deficit. last year was a deficit and it was bigger than the first year. After 2 years, the comptroller's office is like, hey, you all need to start doing something. So they've already, because now they have two audit reports filed from us with two deficits. They've sent us a letter, which is the rule. You cannot have 2 consecutive years with a deficit. 1 year, they understand if you had a major issue happen, something happened, you can have a deficit. So now this year is my 3rd year here, and we're about to close again with a deficit. So that's where we had already started looking at a rate study, because we were kind of expecting the letter from the comptroller's office to get to us because we had passed the 2-year threshold. The 3rd audit just got filed with the comptroller's office this spring. So obviously they've looked at, we've got 3 years. We received the letter last week, and I think Philip's already shared that letter with y'all, or shared the information about the gas study with y'all in an email in the past. But so that's one piece of it. So now when I submit a budget to the comptroller, I can't submit a negative budget because they want to know we're doing something. So I have projected revenues. We haven't done any rate changes or anything, because that has to happen as an ordinance. That has to be changed in our code. That has to pass through 2 separate readings itself. The budget itself is a separate piece. The study is its own piece. And once the guy who's doing our study, when he gets done, the TriStar gets done with our study, he will probably come in 3 months and present to you all his findings. Then we will do a rate increase. So, but the goal for us is to have the rate increase before the next winter. That way we can recoup some of the costs, because I am submitting to the comptroller saying, we're looking at a rate increase. Because if you look at the budget document that I sent you all, at the bottom of the gas department budget, it says a note, because they see 1 year of a deficit, 2nd year almost a deficit. And I'm submitting a positive budget this year saying we're looking at a rate study at the moment. So they know that we already are in the process, so they don't give us anything else.
Because we're gonna be, I guess for the most part, we'll be okay until the study comes back.
Correct.
And that'll be about August or September, and then the rate increase.
Correct.
That's correct.
Correct.
But this budget is dependent on a rate increase at some point.
Correct.
Yes,
Correct.
yes, yes.
Because we've already had, this is going to be, this 2025 budget that we close, it's going to be the 3rd year with a deficit.
But I guess, you know, like, I guess Bill was saying, you know, he's wanting the citizens to know or whatever. But I mean, I guess the citizens know there won't be no rate increase until maybe September or October, maybe, I don't know.
Yeah, by the time the guy gets done with the study, comes and presents all of it, we get the ordinance done. That's why we're starting the process now, so that way by the time winter months come along, we've actually hopefully implemented something.
Again, like I said, y'all good.
So, to add to that, one thing that we figured out, she's forecasting just against our expenses paid.
Right.
I get it.
We've not, for a very long time, followed the ordinance. The ordinance says 3% loss, 10% capital, and then pay your expenses. So for, I think, many years, there's supposed to be 13% going to a capital fund. And that's just me reading the ordinance and saying that's what we're supposed to be doing, and we're supposed to present to you guys if we're not meeting that goal, and we've not been meeting it. Figure that out. So now we move forward how we want to, but that for now, that's what we need to do, is follow our ordinance, and this is what we need to present to you and get the right information for that.
And for now, the comptroller's office needs to know that we have passed. Once this resolution passes on Tuesday, I am going to add all that to my notes to them when I send them the budget in June, that this resolution was passed by our commission, to say we are looking at a rate study, so they actually knew we're not just saying it, we're actually taking proper steps. So, because I don't want them to send me back the budget saying you need to look at this
And let
again.
the comptroller's office, I guess, let them know we thank them sort of being patient with them.
Right.
Yes.
Yeah,
Or it's
maybe.
not acting like we should.
That's right. All right. Resolution 2025-21, a resolution to adopt amend restrictions for Howard Field, and this is in relationship to the new library that the city budget or the county budget office approved in the first reading, 5.5 million. And Corey worked with Daniel Murphy pretty close on it, and I think y'all kind of got this hashed out.
Yeah, so a lot has happened since the last meeting here. The property, there are restrictive covenants on Howard Field property that only allowed for the property to be used as recreational use. as you heard last month, the county wants to use that property for a new library, but we're not really clear whether a library is a recreational use. There's arguments both ways, but bottom line is the county is gonna have to borrow money to do this, and they need to be sure, okay? So the property is actually more than one parcel, and the parcel that the library wants has a restrictive covenant for recreational use that was put on it by the county and then put on it by us. So what we're doing by this resolution is we're not removing the restriction, we're adding to it to say, to amend the restrictive covenant to allow the property to be used for recreational uses and as a library and for other associated library uses.
Mhm.
So it would clear up on this parcel that like you can use it for recreational and for a library in case anybody was ever going to question that. Okay. The actual amendment to the restriction will be included in your packet tomorrow, and the county will be considering a similar resolution this month, and it's already passed the budget. Once it passes, both governmental bodies will present you an MOU probably next month, which is what we talked about last month.
Yep.
That would actually allow for this property swap, right? So, and you remember they want to build the new library on Howard Field. Once that go ahead.
Not on Howard Field above it.
Okay. Yes, there's a parcel
parking
identified.
lot.
There's nothing on it right now. But isn't the whole thing called Howard Field?
Yes.
Anyways, anyway, they want to build a new one there and then give the old one back. Yes, sir.
But I guess, when we talked about this, we're wanting, I guess, the girls' softball
Softball,
field
yeah.
or whatever. So is the county okay with that?
Yes.
Because we're not fortunate, I guess, like Columbia, we don't have the revenue like they do, to have all these big fields and stuff, and we really need that field.
So one of the reasons that we are doing this piecemeal like this was to make sure what the county wanted to do.
I
Because
understand that.
we're using it as recreational use. There's the word on the street is library, softball field, walking trails, all kinds of things. But at the end of the day, we would be giving them this property back to use for recreational uses and library and associated. So I'm not really sure what they would put on it. Yes, sir.
So we would have no control over what they wanted to do there then.
Right.
Bill?
Yeah, if you don't mind.
Yeah, please.
So through the budget committee last week, it did pass on, which is a long way from it, 5.5 million for a library and 200,000 of that in Al Ray's parks budget for a girls softball field. They're still a long way from it. That's just budget committee.
Yeah.
So we'll see where it goes over the next few weeks, but that's about all I know as far as, you may have more to add to that.
All I know right now is at the end of that meeting, they ended up kind of saying all capital projects need to be reconsidered because they were going to be over budget by 10 cents. So they don't want to raise taxes. So right now, pretty much every capital project I think that they've approved, they're going to review it all over again.
As Corey alluded to, in the MOU, there's going to be a time frame.
Yes.
Yeah, but the MOU only really
Just
speaks
the
to the
property.
library.
Mhm.
It just says and other recreational uses. So if you weren't going to make this swap unless it was going to be used as a softball field, that's something that would need to be put in the MOU. But that's not what's been contemplated so far. Yes, sir.
So it would be the county's decision what they want to put on that property.
Yes.
Okay.
Well, so this today is removing the restriction or adding to the restriction a library. It's incorporating a library as an option for this property. That's what this resolution
An
does.
option.
The MOU that you would see next month, if this one passes, both county and city would say that they had to build a library
Have to build.
Right.
in order for this whole transaction.
Yes.
Like, it doesn't say
Yes.
anything about a softball field.
Okay.
It just says other recreational uses. So right now, a softball field would be something that would be allowed under the current restrictions, whether it was city or county. But once we give that property to them, the only thing we're requiring is a library.
So
that
that's what I'm
included-
saying. It's totally up to them what goes on
If
that.
anything additional to the
Yes,
library,
beside the library.
Yes.
But we
Okay.
could say we want a softball field.
we'd have to, that's, the MOU is something
That's
that
what
they
the
agreed
MOU
to
will do.
with both us and the county.
Yes.
So we'd have to, I think, the problem is, there's a lot more people on the county commission. There's a lot more
Yes.
opinions.
Yeah.
So the only thing that's been,
About 11.
the only thing that's been requested is this
Library.
property be given for a library and with the swap with the current library. So
That's right.
that's the part that really has been discussed so far. I think that, or I know that if y'all we would not give this property to them unless they were going to put a softball field on it. That needs to be talked about before the June meeting.
I just know that they did say they appropriated funding in the parks budget for the softball
For
field,
the
but I
softball
believe
field.
the funding is probably connected with the library getting built, so
Yeah.
I don't know that piece of it.
And we get this building back.
That's right.
I don't know that you want to put strings on it, just candidly, but that was.
All right, any other questions? Corey's she's been working with Daniel.
And we did not hold this up for the record.
No.
If anybody asked you.
No, it was not.
Okay, nobody is anti-library. We were just trying to make sure that this was done correctly.
That's right.
Well, if they had one.
Huh?
They had one member.
I don't.
All right. Resolution 2025-22 land donation, and in this from tax bill that they given us this property.
Yes, it's the property that's adjacent to Arrow Mines Park. It's landlocked, and this J&N Bannister Living Trust contacted us and wanted to donate it. We don't see any problem with it. We could just add it to Arrow Mines Park. So,
Great.
So perfect.
yep. So it's accepting a donation. We actually accepted a donation also adjacent to Arrow Mines Park a couple of years ago.
Yeah.
Now, before you turn off on the air, man, that one little bitty short street in dead end.
McD.
Is
Oh,
it back?
wow.
No,
Briscoe
Okay, okay.
Alley.
Briscoe
yeah,
Alley.
right at the very end. of the
Briscoe
floor.
Alley, yeah.
You know, where here's air mines and there's a little short street right here and it's a property there.
Does he have the doc?
You can see it.
You'd have to go to GIS.
Just look down.
She could do it on Tuesday.
Yeah,
Okay,
that's
I'll
right,
put-
ain't it?
I'll make sure in the
Super
packet, we'll
old
get a screenshot of that brief packet. Should have had it up there. I apologize.
All right, any other questions? Resolution 2025-23, and folks, if this comes to light,
Mm,
Philip, you got that?
But hey, wait, can you put that up there? Now, see. Can you start with that parcel two of the Airmont Park?
I'm gonna get, folks, I hate to do it, but I got to get up and show y'all some of this. I've been working on this for about 2.5 years with, this year it's Starlink, last year it was Sanofi, or whatever it was, next year it'll be something else. So, this is all right now property of, Starlink, which, for everybody's information, the holder of Starlink, end of the day, when you go up the corporate ladder, it's Bayer. Bayer Apple. They're in a lot of things. That's how they wound up with this property, because many, many years ago, Bayer owned the company that came in and bought Starlink. So, just to point out a few things, everywhere you see the purple, that is equestrian trails.
Oh,
mhm.
That is huge in this part of the world, man. Everywhere you see in yellow are walking trails.
Mhm.
And what they have proposed is to come up here off of, right there at the foot of Enterprise Road and have a parking area right there, and where it would begin. And you'll still be able to drive down Air Lake Road and drive right through the middle of it. Air Lake will be completely redone, 2 new boat ramps, all new picnicking area, the picnicking area throughout the whole park. This will be a joint project through TWRA and State of Tennessee Parks.
wow.
TWRA proposed this. I met them out there a couple of years ago on the property. I'll tell you a real funny story about this right quick. When we were out there walking the property, we were about right here. We were walking back out on the road, looking down, I go, whoa, everybody stop. What's wrong? I said, stop. They finally stopped. copperhead about that long, right there in the middle of the road. And Al Ray was with us because at that time we were looking at doing this as a county park. And Al pulls the brakes off his twig and started twitching it. I said, Al, you have lost your mind. So, TWRA is proposing a first-class sporting clays, trap range, skeet range, 500-yard rifle range, coming all the way back. And,
Cabins.
Museum.
Cabins,
amphitheater
playground.
will be right here.
Oh, wow.
They're looking at adding and granting additional property. to the Mount
Stables
Pleasant
and
Country
horses.
Club, increase 9 more holes.
This is huge.
And you see all these little black dots right here? Rental cabins.
Mhm.
Wow.
It will be, I spent a couple hours with the governor a couple of weeks ago and
I saw you on TV, by the way. You knew you were on the camera, huh?
no. I saw him, but no, I tried to stay out of the
Because
way.
I was like, he's looking and I'm like, no, he knows. He's kind of like.
So,
It's gonna be pretty, Michael.
it's roughly $115 million.
Mhm.
How many acres is that total?
It's 3,000.
Wow.
I didn't want to, I was gonna let Cord make sure that I got that right.
I don't know how much it is a lot.
But it's a lot of property and,
Mayor, I guess, for the benefit of the city of Mount Pleasant, does this need to be in the, put in the city limits of Mount Pleasant?
No.
It don't? Okay.
Corey and I had a discussion about this yesterday, I think. About what you're going to see in the ordinance does not put us on the book for any money.
Yeah, the whole purpose of the ordinance or the resolution is to show support and for exploration and proposed creation of this. They might, it also says that you would consider contributing funds. I know the mayor has more on that, but they're not asking you for part of that, however many 115 million.
No, I mean, I was just saying, does it look bad, you know, when somebody says, hey, look, this here's the city of Mount, this is in the city limits of Mount
Well,
Pleasant.
I'll give you
I
an
just-
example, Mike, and this is, you're asking a great question because I kind of asked the same thing. Lawrenceburg, Davy Crockett State Park is not in the city.
So,
And that's the way they do it. This, the state wants that. Now, when they say a contribution from us, right now their intent is because, Mount Pleasant water goes out there just so far. Other part of it provided by Murray County Water. And then I talked with Al first thing, and the power's already out there.
Mhm.
And the sewage won't be an issue because they'll take care of that as they go. But
be
long
neat
time coming.
when it's, yeah, be neat when it's,
So,
hopefully we'll get to see it in our lifetime.
Well, it's, in talking with the governor, he would like to have this done before we leave office.
Wow.
Now, it might not be completed before he leaves office, but he wants to
Be in
make sure that the
place.
funding's there and everything's in place.
That's good.
The proposal with TWRA is that the hoarding and the shooting piece and all of that would be more geared towards children from adults. Right now, in the state of Tennessee, they've got one in East Tennessee and West Tennessee. They don't have one in Middle Tennessee. They have to do that now. They go to the Nashville Gun Club and rent their facility. This would give them a state park facility of their own to have this in Middle Tennessee. And as I've said to some folks, these folks are gonna come to town and they're gonna spend money. And they're gonna stay. Because when you got those children involved, I don't know if y'all have ever been to one of these events. It's huge.
They'll appreciate your involvement in it and let the governor know, also appreciate what they're doing.
like I say,
It'll be good.
Sure, real nice.
I know everybody's got their differences with Starlink or whatever, but they have been excellent to work with. Excellent. So that's what you're gonna see. Corey did a great job. Their attorneys forwarded a resolution to us and Corey went through it and kind of tweaked some things for us. It's good with you, correct? I'm not the one.
Yeah, there's not,
nice.
I was making sure they weren't asking you for any commitment. They're not. They're just asking you to show support for this project. But they call it a public-private partnership.
But I guess
When you hear those
what I was
words.
saying a while ago, when you see something like that, you want it to be, hey, this here's in the city limits of Mount Pleasant.
Yeah, well, I'll tell you what it says to me. Coming from tourism, that's free money.
Yeah.
Free money.
That's
It's
sales
huge.
tax.
And that's,
Sales tax.
hotels will come in.
Yeah.
I mean, that's all, everybody that goes to that is gonna spend money in Mount Pleasant. And that's what's just amazing. That's wonderful. That's how tourism is free money.
Right.
Wow, that's exciting.
Yes, yes, yes.
Question. Well, that's a lot of questions.
Yes, people have a lot of
They don't have any reason to come here. Wow.
Fishing worms.
Yeah, I'm glad I'm gonna be home now.
Motion to adjourn. Motion to adjourn. Motion to adjourn.
Yes.
Okay. I was like, I didn't know. I was like, everybody was. That was like. I haven't heard
Anybody,
anything
wait,
off yet.
before, anybody got anything else they'd like to add?
Public comment.
This has been
nothing.
tough not to talk about, guys,
I'm
because some
sure.
things can change.
You pretty much, like, new for,
Yeah.
800 fish, you know.
This is nice.
Nice.
Mayor, I just
Yeah,
wanted
Lord.
to remind the commissioners and the city manager and staff, I won't be here for the meeting on Tuesday night, but I will be attending the assembly. Yeah.
We'll miss you.
Yeah.
Anything else from anybody?
I just want to thank Philip and Schiffer and the staff for all you do. I mean, this budget, Schiffer, this is so amazing how you just break it down for us. And I appreciate y'all work. I do. We got a great team.
Yes, we do.
Appreciate y'all.
Thank you. Thank you.
All right. Thank y'all.